Story 1. I was 20, a guy working part-time at a coffee shop. There was this coworker, Jess, who hated being scheduled for closing shifts. One day she begged me to swap, so I did her a favor. But the next week I asked her to cover my shift and she goes, "I don't do last-minute favors," so I let it go. But then I started noticing she'd conveniently forget to restock anything during her shifts. I always had to clean up her mess, so I got petty. I started labeling all the syrups and toppings I prepped with a note that said, "Not for Jess." Management didn't care, but she definitely did. Story 2. I was 18, a girl, and my best friend in high school always had to one-up me. Got a new phone? She got a better one. Crushed a test? She crushed it harder. So for prom, I found a dress I loved, simple but elegant. She asked to see it. I showed her. The day of prom, she shows up in the exact same dress, but a custom version that made mine look cheap. So I didn't even say anything. I just went to the bathroom, cut a slit into mine, added a belt, and tied a jacket around it. People kept complimenting my outfit all night. She kept asking if I was mad. Story 3. I'm 23, a guy, and I had a roommate who kept stealing my food. Not just a slice of pizza, full meals. I asked him to stop, he denied it, so I got petty. I made a giant batch of brownies with salt instead of sugar and labeled it "Do Not Eat." He ate half the tray, then threw up. He never touched my stuff again. Story 4. I was 21, a girl, and I worked retail with this girl named Leah who always stole sales. Like I'd be helping a customer and she'd slide in last second and take credit. One day I saw her doing it again, so I told the customer, "If you need help, ask for me at the register. I've got discounts." Leah reported me, but I had receipts, literally. Turns out she was lying about her sales numbers too. She got written up, and I got promoted. Story 5. I was 22, a guy living with a college friend who'd constantly bring people over at 2 a.m., loud, drunk, and messy. I asked him to chill, he brushed me off. So I got creative. I started playing opera music at full volume every morning at 6 a.m., right outside his door. I even bought a speaker just for this. After a week of La Traviata wake-ups, he finally begged me to stop. Guess we both learned about volume control. Story 6. I was 19, a girl, and this girl in my dorm kept stealing people's laundry. Seriously, shirts, bras, even full bed sheets. We knew it was her but couldn't catch her. So one day I tossed an old shirt in the dryer with a ridiculous hidden tag sewn in, "Property of campus security." Sure enough, the next day she was walking around in it. We confronted her in front of everyone and she turned bright red. She transferred dorms 2 days later. Story 7. I'm 25, a guy, and I used to have this neighbor who'd scream at her cat. Like full arguments every night, so one day I got a speaker, played a recording of a cat meowing back at her, and hid it under her porch. Every time she yelled, "Shut up!" the speaker would meow. She started leaving apology treats out for the ghost cat. I moved a few months later, and she still doesn't know it was me. Story 8. I was 20, a girl, and I had a situationship with this guy who swore he wasn't ready to date. Cool. 2 weeks later, I see him post a picture kissing another girl with the caption, "My person," so I liked the post. Then I liked every single one of his photos going back to 2015. That night, I got a text. "You good?" I just replied, "I thought we weren't dating." Radio silence ever since. Story 9. I was 26, a girl, and I'd been dating this guy, Ryan, for over a year. We weren't perfect, but I thought we were solid. We talked about moving in together, even getting a dog. Then one night he told me he was going on a guy's trip to Vegas for a friend's bachelor party. Cool, have fun, don't be dumb. I trusted him. But while he was gone, I noticed something weird. His iPad was still connected to our shared iCloud, and I started getting photo sync notifications. I wasn't trying to snoop, but curiosity got me. I opened it. The first few were harmless. Drinks, casinos, a group selfie. Then it got dark. There were pictures of him kissing a girl at a pool party. Then pictures of her in his hotel bed, him taking selfies with her asleep beside him. The timestamps matched the exact days he said he barely left the hotel. I didn't say anything right away. I screenshotted everything. When he came back, I acted normal. Asked how it went. He said it was chill. The next day, I invited him over for dinner, sat him down and said, "So, how was Vegas? Meet anyone interesting?" He froze. I showed him the pictures. He stuttered, tried blaming the alcohol, claimed it meant nothing. I told him I made a reservation for 2 at his favorite restaurant and he should take her. Then I walked out, blocked him everywhere, and sent the pics to the group chat of his friends with the caption, "Hope the bachelor party was worth it." They never replied, but they all unfollowed him. Weeks later, he sent an email saying he missed me and that he was trying to be a better man. I didn't reply. I'm doing just fine without him. Story 14. I was 20, a girl, and my roommate Emma would constantly eat my snacks even when I labeled them. I tried talking to her, but she'd act shocked and say, "Oh, I thought we were sharing." So one day I made a batch of cookies loaded with salt instead of sugar and left them out labeled "for me only." She ate 5. Later I found her dramatically lying on the couch, chugging water and looking betrayed. I just asked if she wanted the recipe. Story 15. I was 23, a guy, and my coworker Jason always took credit for things I did, like full-on repeated my ideas in meetings and acted like he came up with them. So before the next meeting, I emailed my proposal directly to our boss and asked her to review it before I brought it up. Meeting starts, Jason tries to pitch it. Boss cuts him off and says, "Yes, I already discussed this with my name." The look on his face? Priceless. Story 16. I was 19, a girl, and I worked at a campus cafe with this guy who always flirted with customers and made fun of me for being too quiet. One day, I saw him spill an entire latte and blame it on me. So I turned off the water valve to his drink station before the next shift. He couldn't make anything and had to run across the store every time. When the manager asked why he was so slow, I just smiled and said, "Maybe he's having a quiet day." Story 17. I was 21, a guy, and I'd been dating this girl for a few months. She had this one best friend who clearly had a thing for her and hated me, always called me bro in that weird way. One night at a party, he tried to embarrass me by bringing up an old cringy Instagram post I had, so I pulled out my phone and said, "Let's go through yours then." Turns out he had way worse stuff, like videos of him fake crying to sad songs. The room exploded laughing. He left early, and my girlfriend kissed me extra hard that night. Story 18. I was 22, a guy, and I worked at a local pizza place that had this regular customer named Sarah. Every Friday night, she would order a large pizza with extra cheese and then call the next day to complain it wasn't cheesy enough. She'd ask for a refund and always got one, so I decided to mess with her. The next time she called, I picked up the phone and sweetly asked, "How can I help you today, Sarah?" She launched into her usual complaint about not enough cheese. But this time I calmly interrupted and said, "I remember last week you asked for extra cheese, but we're just trying to keep it healthy, you know?" The silence on the other end was golden. She went completely silent for a few seconds, then angrily asked, "Are you seriously giving me attitude?" I could barely keep my cool, but told her that the cheese quota had been changed, and I couldn't offer any more for free. She didn't call again after that. Story 19. I was 18, a girl, and I had this friend, Mia, who always tried to outdo me. Every time I got something new or achieved something, she'd immediately go out and get something better. I got a new phone? She got the latest model a day later. I passed a test? She aced it. One summer, I bought a vintage dress from a small shop for a wedding, and it was one of my prized finds. The next day, Mia showed up with the exact same dress, except hers had custom embroidery that made it look like mine was just a knockoff. I tried to not let it bother me, but when we both wore it to the wedding, I noticed the stares. People were complimenting her more, which was the last straw. I quietly slipped to the bathroom, took off the dress, and added a big slit down the side. When I came back to the reception, people were in awe of my unique look. Mia wasn't happy when she noticed I was getting the attention. It was petty, but I couldn't care less. Story 20. I was 21, a guy, and lived with this guy, Ben, who had a terrible habit of borrowing things without asking. And I don't mean small things. He took my video games, my headphones, my favorite jacket, even a few books. It was always, "Oh, I'll bring it back, no worries." But weeks would pass, and I'd never get them back. After asking him countless times, I decided to teach him a lesson. One day, when I knew he'd be out, I packed up everything of his I could find and hid it in my closet. The next day, I texted him saying, "Hey, so your stuff is locked up in my closet. Feel free to come by after work." He was confused, but said he'd be over. I made sure I wasn't home. When I came back, I found a long message from him. "Dude, why would you do that? I'm not a kid." I replied, "You're not? Funny, 'cause you've been acting like one lately." He stopped borrowing after that. Story 21. I was 23, a girl, and had this coworker, Laura, who was constantly taking credit for my work. She'd see me busting my butt getting a project done and swoop in at the last minute to help with a few minor edits, then claim the whole thing as her own. One day we were assigned a big presentation project, and I knew she'd try to do the same thing. So, before the deadline, I spent extra hours working late, making it perfect. I didn't tell her, but I sent an email to our boss showing my progress and asking for approval. The next day, I left the final presentation on Laura's desk, labeled for review. At the meeting, she went to present and had a complete panic attack when she realized she didn't have the slides. I just sat back watching her flounder. Afterward, I got a promotion, and Laura, well, she got an improvement plan. Story 22. I was 20, a girl, living in a 4-person apartment during college. One of my roommates, Lila, acted sweet but was constantly sneaking into our rooms and using our things, makeup, clothes, even our leftovers. She always played innocent when confronted, saying things like, "Oh, I thought that was mine," or "I was gonna ask." One night I decided to test her. I took an old bottle of foundation, mixed it with glitter glue, and left it out on my vanity. The next morning I saw her with a full face of blotchy, sparkly makeup. She didn't say a word, but I knew. The best part? She had a group presentation that day and looked like a disco ball under fluorescent lights. She never touched my stuff again. Story 23. I was 24, a guy working remotely for a tech company. My coworker Ryan had this habit of scheduling unnecessary meetings just to show off. He'd throw around buzzwords, interrupt people, and basically act like he ran the place, despite being the least helpful person on the team. One day, after he scheduled another pointless meeting, I decided to beat him at his own game. I made a bingo card of all the cliché phrases he used. Circle back, synergy, bandwidth, etc., and sent it to a few trusted coworkers. During the meeting, you could see everyone trying not to laugh every time Ryan spoke. Halfway through, one guy accidentally snorted water through his nose, and Ryan asked what was so funny. We all played dumb, but that was the last time he scheduled a thought leadership sync on a Friday afternoon. Story 24. I was 19, a girl, and used to go to this small community gym. There was this guy who always tried to help women with their form, uninvited. He cornered me once while I was mid-deadlift to tell me I was doing it wrong, even though I had been lifting for 3 years. So the next time I saw him coming, I pretended to struggle with a barbell. As he rushed over to play hero, I stood up like nothing happened and added another plate. His jaw dropped. I said, "Thanks, but I think I've got it," and finished my reps while he quietly walked away. A trainer nearby gave me a fist bump afterward. Story 25. I was 22, a guy, and had just moved into a new apartment complex. The guy next door, Kyle, was cool at first, until I realized he was using my Netflix, my Wi-Fi, and even once stole a delivery off my porch. I confronted him, and he said, "Oh, I thought we were just neighbors helping neighbors." So I reset all my passwords and left a box on my porch labeled free. Inside was a glitter bomb I ordered online. Sure enough, later that day I heard a loud curse and glitter everywhere. He didn't steal anything from me after that, and I swear he avoided eye contact for the rest of the year. Story 30. I was 22, a guy, and during my last semester of college I moved in with 2 other guys I didn't know that well, Zach and Troy. At first, things were chill. We split groceries, shared cooking duties, and hung out on weekends. But then I noticed some weird stuff happening in the kitchen. Ingredients would go missing, leftovers I labeled would get eaten, and someone kept drinking all the oat milk I needed for my protein shakes. I asked around, but of course no one ever admitted to it. One night I got home late from the gym and opened the fridge to find my entire container of overnight oats gone, container and all. That was the last straw. I installed a small hidden camera in the kitchen, just aimed at the fridge. A few days later, I caught the culprit, Zach, at 2 a.m., shirtless, giggling, and using my oats as a dipping sauce for cold pizza. I was both angry and weirdly impressed, so I called a house meeting and without saying anything played the footage on our living room TV. Zach went dead silent. Troy burst out laughing. I said, "Bro, just buy your own milk and oats." Zach apologized and awkwardly offered to Venmo me, but I said no. He could repay me by cooking all our dinners for the next 2 weeks. He did it, every single night. I still never trust unlabeled food anymore, but we actually got closer after that. Turns out shared meals really do build bonds, even if they started with oat milk theft. Story 31. I was 21, a girl, working part-time at this artsy little cafe downtown. The vibe was chill, But we had one regular, let's call him Greg, who treated all the women like his personal entertainment, always calling us sweetheart, leaving weird notes with his tips, asking if we had boyfriends. It was creepy, but subtle enough that management brushed it off. One day, he asked if I'd model for his painting class. I told him sure, then showed up wearing a full-on dinosaur onesie and brought my friend who came dressed as a clown. We sat in the back of the cafe and posed like it was a serious photo shoot. Greg didn't say a word. He never asked again and actually stopped coming in altogether. We kept the clown photo on the employee corkboard. Story 32. I was 24, a guy, and my sister's best friend, who I'll call Jordan, moved in with us temporarily after a breakup. Jordan was chill, into gaming, anime, and always left the kitchen cleaner than before. But about a month in, I noticed my shampoo running out way faster than normal. Not just mine, my cologne, my hoodie, even my protein powder. I joked about it once and she went red but denied everything. So I dyed my shampoo purple with food coloring and waited. The next morning, Jordan came out of the bathroom with faint lavender streaks in her hair. She avoided eye contact for the whole day. Later that night, she quietly slid a fresh bottle of shampoo onto my shelf. We never spoke about it again, but my stuff stopped going missing after that. Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed these wild stories of betrayal, revenge, and chaos, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and drop your favorite moment in the comments below. New stories drop every week, so you don't want to miss what's coming next. See you in the next one.